Welcome to Don't Know Much About Football,
the podcast where football meets finance and foreign policy.
And the commentary comes with culture. With your co-hosts, Karlo Marcello,
Sarah Hamilton,
and Ian Stoner. Okay, everybody. Welcome to Don't Know Much About Football, everybody. We are here with a Bonanza conversation with a cast of characters. Many of our past guests have joined us, and we are here to talk about the current season. We last had a roundtable about 5 or 6 weeks ago, and it was a very different picture. Let's just say that. We wanted to get some of the folks together today to tell us where we are now, what they're looking forward to between now and the end of the calendar year. We'll have a lot of football to watch over the Christmas holidays, so let's kind of see what we think might be happening by then, and then we come back and see where we are. But to get started, let's just do some lightning intros. If you could just state your name, the club that you're a fan of, and then just in 5-10 seconds, tell us what's the single most defining moment, good or bad, for your club in the last 5 or 6 weeks that we should know about. So I'll start in the top left of my screen. Adam, how's it going?
Yeah, very good, thank you. So I'm Adam, I'm a Man United fan. I'm actually in Manchester. And I'd say the most defining moment, Ian, is beating Liverpool.
Painful, but fair enough. Abhi.
Hi there, Abhi Goyle. I'm a Brentford fan watching from New York City, and I would say beating Liverpool, but actually I think for us it's going a few rounds into the Carabao Cup farther than we normally would.
Excellent, very good. Christopher.
Hi, Christopher Guerrero. I'm calling from Pasadena, California, and I'm a Tottenham supporter. And I think for us, it would definitely be the 2025 Europa League Championship in Bilbao and bringing home that big, beautiful trophy.
All right, Paul.
Yeah, Paul from living Kansas City, Leeds United fan. And our goal this season was to get a point a game, and we were ahead of that, and we're now in crisis mode. 11 points from 11 games, and the rumblings about sacking our manager have all of a sudden peaked. So, and we got a tough run of fixtures coming up where we're going to struggle to get any points in the next few weeks. So, not feeling very good right now.
And who's next? Mike.
Yeah, Mike in Boston representing Fulham. Paul kind of stole my thunder. We're in a very, very similar situation. So on a more positive note, I just have to ask Abhi, who put the ball in the Brentford net? Harry fucking Wilson.
All right, we're getting spicy already. That's great.
I like it. Are we allowed to swear? I'm from Yorkshire, so I'm very good at
I didn't
it.
know. Sorry if I already
No, we'll
messed
just
this
put an
up.
explicit on
Okay.
the podcast. It's fine. It's not the first time. I think Mike might be the last time that happened, but
Well,
that's
good
all
to
right.
know.
my bad.
He's from Boston. Explains a lot. I'm sure Adam can step up as well. So thanks for the intros, everyone. And I am here with Sarah and Karlo, my co-hosts, as usual. Sarah, anything you want to add on the first 6 weeks before we get started?
No, I'm just waiting for when the better portion of the season starts for Liverpool.
When
Not
will
so
that
great.
be? I'm looking
Okay
forward to
start,
it.
and then crap since then.
All right. Okay, so here we are. I think it's week 11 in coming up on week 12 in the international break. Correct me if I'm wrong. A lot has happened. I think last time we spoke, Liverpool had been on a streak. I think we were top of the table, if I'm not mistaken. It's obviously gone downhill from there, and a lot of other things have happened. I'm just going to go around the table and I'd love your thoughts on the current leaders. We've got Arsenal, and then resurging is Man City. There's a lot of other folks up there in the top 5. Let's just talk about the sort of leaders and the sort of usual suspects, as it were, as of late. How do Arsenal and City and any of the other clubs you care to mention affect you and your club? You know, what's the impact of their success in the last 5-6 weeks, if any? So, Adam.
Yeah, I'd like to see City have a bad run, or these 115 charges get slapped and get them relegated or something. So, in the title race at the minute, I've rooted for Sunderland. So, but I think Arsenal at the minute it's theirs to lose. They're top of the league. Game one for us of the season was at Old Trafford, was at Arsenal versus Man United, and we absolutely battered them. We outplayed them. That gave United fans hope. But Arsenal won the game, and to win the league, they're the games that really matter. Like rolling over teams you're expected to beat is one thing. Winning games when you're not on form, when you just have to win ugly, win in the last minute, they're doing that now. And if they can keep it up, it's theirs to lose. But Arsenal are famous for being bottle jobs. So whether they'll keep going that way through the season, who knows? But I'd say it's theirs to lose. I'd like to see anyone but City or Liverpool win it. I'm not going to be jumping up and down if Arsenal win it by any means. But it'd be a nice break as a United fan to see someone else win the league, even if it is Arsenal.
So if you had to take your pick, fair enough. But United is doing pretty well overall, and we can talk more about that. But Abhi, what about Brentford? How have the kind of leaders, the people, the clubs that have been breaking away this season affected Brentford?
Well, let's face it, we're not a club that was seriously looking at a title chase. So I think what happens for a traditional mid-table club, which I think we are solidly a mid-table club year after year now, what always happens is you try to figure out who your neighbors are going to be, and then you start watching them for the rest of the season other than your own club. Who do I need to lose for my own club to end up higher up in the table? And because this season's been so topsy-turvy, we don't really know who our neighbors are going to be. So I think we're a little bit inward looking, not so much paying attention to the title chase right now, except insofar as most teams do at least have a former Brentford player on them. And Arsenal, I think, are notable in not only having David Raya, who was brilliant for us and has definitely settled in well at Arsenal right now, but in having Christian Norgard, who was our captain, and I would say that was one of our more shocking off-season sales. And they brought him in basically to close out games, and I think that's paying off for them. So I think the lesson to everybody else is buy Brentford.
I mean,
maybe you can start taking credit for other clubs. Go ahead, Adam.
I was just saying I can vouch for that with Mbumo. He's been sensational for us. He just won Player of the Month, Premier League Player of the Month, that is, not Man United's.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thread we can keep pulling on. So, Mike, give us some spicy takes.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. The start of the season for Fulham has not been ideal. We've gotten some really nice points off the jump. Looking at Adam from Man United, that was a really, really nice draw for us to come out of. But we've hit a bit of a slow patch, a bit of an injury crisis. Up until last week, we had 7 players out injured. We're still missing our top player. And as of today, there's now speculation on the coach, Marco Silva, which will pain my heart and soul if something does happen. I have to admit, as great as it did feel beating Brentford, I think that was the last modicum of joy I've felt in a decent amount of time. Even going in the Carabao Cup and having a shaky penalties win left a bittersweet taste in my mouth. So we're definitely trying to stay out of the relegation fight, but it's becoming more and more likely that that's going to be the case without further investment.
Okay, very interesting. Paul, how about Leeds?
Yeah, we had a decent start to the season. I don't really look at the top of the table too much because we're not going to be involved there. But, you know, we've only played one of the top teams so far. I mean, Arsenal and Man City look a class apart right now. Liverpool have the squad to compete, but something's not right there. So, yeah, we played Arsenal. We lost 5-0. At the time, we didn't really care because we were taking care of the games we needed to win or pick points up. It was interesting. I had a friend go to watch the game and he loved the Leeds fans. They were singing, "It's 5-0 down. Who gives a fuck? The Super Leeds was staying up." But we don't feel like that right now. And we have Man City, Chelsea and Liverpool twice to play between now and January the 1st. So feeling a little daunted. You know, we have a manager who we signed big tour players and felt like we'd play more direct. And that was kind of a way to compete. But he's still playing Farka ball and slow build up. And we just don't have the players to play that way. And given his track record of taking Norwich up twice and then straight back down again, you know, expecting a different outcome this time is maybe not the smart thing to do. And I think most of the fans think we probably need to make a change now rather than wait till the new year in the transfer window and make the same mistake we did with Jesse Marsh, erstwhile American manager.
That'll be interesting to get into and to follow as well. Christopher, last but not least, I almost said Leeds there. Last but not least, tell us about Spurs.
Yeah, it's been, as always, it's an up and down experience. We came off, two really rough matches where we played, I thought, just terribly against Newcastle in the was it the Carabao Cup, and then our match against Chelsea, which I thought we could have done just so much better. It was really quick to see how fast people turned on Thomas Frank because of those two games, and then very quickly seemed to get over it with the 4-0 win over Copenhagen. But overall, fifth in the table. If we had beat Manchester United, we'd be third. I think we're doing really well. I would love to see anyone win but Arsenal. Having them come in second is just like the best thing that can happen to us, I think, because it's just really fun to see them get so close and not win. So I wish them the absolute worst. But yeah, it's been a fun season overall. We have actually our big match against Arsenal coming up after the international break. And then for my birthday, we're playing PSG in the Champions League. So that'll be a lot of fun. Also, it's been a lot of fun being in Champions League this year and getting to go watch those matches. They time perfectly around the lunchtime hour. So in California, get to take a lunch break, go watch the match, come back to work. It's been pretty good. I'm feeling great, and I'm just waiting for Arsenal's demise. Thank you, Sunderland, today. Good job. Well done.
Excellent. So, Karlo, are you there? Karlo and Sarah, I'd also like to get your takes here, either of you, on Liverpool's behalf. Just give us a sense of where we are and kind of how we're feeling about the impact of the teams in the ascendant as we continue to struggle.
Let's do a proof of life. Karlo, are you there? Can you hear
I'm
us?
here.
All right. Why don't you go first?
Yeah, I had high hopes at the beginning of the season. I think now I feel just like a little numb with how some things are going on. I'm also carrying a lot of happiness still from the LA Dodgers winning the World Series. So I'm like leaning heavily on that for like my sports pillar right now in life. Okay. So there's like heavy leaning on that. All right. And it's back to back. So I guess it's like having two things to lean on. So that's really holding me up right now. And then I'm just like hoping for a team that gels together after winter. And so that's those are my hopes, and that people stay healthy. That's it.
Let's all stay healthy. Sarah?
Yeah, I think staying healthy, that's important for sure. I keep thinking back to, we did a preview of the season on the podcast, before things got rolling. And I said it's probably going to take a while for the new signings to work.
True.
And it could be a little rocky for Liverpool. And I would have to remind myself of that when things went
You did
poorly.
say that.
So I don't have a crystal ball, but, I played sports. I'm not doing so well with reminding myself to stay calm when things go poorly. And now I just think, we'll see. I'm hoping that they can figure it out. And they've had some glimmers, but I'm hoping they can figure it out and at least make a place for European competition and maybe focus on the Champions League. Because I'm not so I think they're out of the title race unless they have a dramatic turnaround here very quickly. It just doesn't seem like, it seems like they're missing too many pieces on defense. But I could also be like Chicken Little, because Paul said that, and I think you're right. Like they have the pieces, they're just not clicking.
482 million euros of pieces.
Yeah, I actually think maybe I think they could have spent some of that money, maybe, I don't know, on a defender. But anyway.
Yeah,
fine.
Sarah, I was going to ask for your feedback on how to be patient with signings, because I think me and my
I'm not the
brethren are
person to
having
ask. Yeah, I'm not. I am it's too hard for me. I'm very emotional when it comes to all of my sports teams, and patience is not something that I have as a human. So I'm not the person to ask.
Fair enough.
I was wondering if there's such a thing as caring too much, but perhaps not in football. I'm curious if there's been any major, any thoughts on sort of major contributors to the sort of trajectory of the league in terms of manager talent, and if maybe we could get some nominations for sort of best manager of the last 6 weeks. and we could even have a quick vote on it. Let's get the top 2 or 3. So any obviously not necessarily your own club. Who would you say? And Pep Guardiola.
Well, I think it's got to be the Sunderland manager so far. I mean, no one expected what they have done.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
the track
Agreed.
record over the last few years of promoted teams going straight down. I think, they were never looked like they were going to get promoted until the playoffs. We thought it was going to be Sheffield United who fell apart. And
Right.
I was hoping they would have come up because they'd have gone straight back down again. But now we got this Sunderland bucking the trend, and amazing.
I'll give you another one, considering that Ian specifically said the last 6 weeks. Unai Emery quietly has taken Aston Villa from 19th to 6th. That's a pretty astonishing and under the radar run. And he's only 1 point behind Labrie right now. So I would actually argue Unai Emery.
It's a solid call, and he was definitely on the list for me. Anyone else? Do we have a third contestant? Again, Pep Guardiola is not allowed on.
I'm going to say us, of course. Keith Andrews. Well, I mean, how about this? The fact that we had been tipped for instant relegation by basically every major football publication to start the season. We lost our 2 highest scorers, one of whom is not just a scorer, but an incredible playmaker and who generated almost all our offense. We lost our team captain. We lost about half our backroom staff. So we lost a good bit of the data analytics team that is supposedly the secret to our success. By the end of the summer, all that was left was, I'd say, about 3/4 of last year's roster and the owner. Here we are at the exact same place in the table as we were a year ago. And I think I'm not just saying this because of the results, but there's a little investigation into what is Keith Andrews doing correctly, considering this is his very first head coaching job. And what he's doing is he's got personal relationships with the players. He got the new signings working a lot quicker. You got to look at what specifically the manager does, not just the results, because otherwise you could chalk up success to a great number of any other things too.
Fair point. So third nominee, Adam's having some technical difficulties. I don't know if he would want to nominate anyone, but I think we've got 3 solid contenders here. So should we have one?
Ian, I was going to say the other one that hurts me, and it's in a similar vein. Abhi, I got to give credit where it's due. Like, you guys have gotten your signings up to speed really quickly, but Andoni Iraola, I don't think is getting enough credit. Had Bournemouth at 2nd place at some point. Sold Huijsen and essentially had to rebuild that entire back line.
Yeah.
I think there's an argument that Semenyo might have somehow turned into one of the 3 best players in the Prem. I think if all the arguments that Abhi used, I think could almost be said the same thing for Andoni Iraola minus this is his first coaching job.
All right. I mean, it seems like I think we could probably keep going if, there's a lot of strong talent. What about worst managers?
Do they still have to be in a job?
Oh,
I'd like to nominate my own, but you said, yeah, I would have Daniel Farker on the hot seat, 100%. I feel bad for anybody getting fired or losing their job, but he ain't cutting it. Maybe, if there's so much success with buying Brentford players, maybe we should look at poaching the Brentford manager in there to replace Farker.
Ian, you asked for spicy.
Try. Yeah, wheeling and dealing.
Come to a big club.
Wheeling and dealing on the
Ian,
pod.
you asked for spicy takes, though,
Love
and I
it.
think there's only one answer to worst manager in the Prem this season. How is it not Ange? Like, you've been fired twice?
Yeah.
That's what I said coming off of me. Absolutely. I was like, can we still pull one out for Ange Postecoglou? Because it was definitely him, in my opinion.
Is there any evidence he actually tried when he showed up at Forest?
But
he's actually having a beer with Sam Allardyce right now after he took over at Leeds to compare notes on how hard they tried.
Is there any winning at Forest, though? I mean, that's a losing proposition. So,
yeah, it's a crazy ownership.
If we're going to nominate somebody, you can nominate their owner
say
for
if we're
sucking.
looking at ones that aren't currently in seat, then Graham Potter did a pretty horrendous job at West Ham.
Yeah,
I've got a bit of a left field one here. I'd like to nominate Enzo Maresca, actually, because here's a club that made a run in the Club World Cup And by all rights, any other club that would have done something like that, win a new trophy, beating PSG over the summer, your players should be rolling. They should be full of confidence. They should be consistent. It should have lent itself to winning ways. And I know that third is nothing to sneeze about, but that team is so Chelsea are so streaky. They are so inconsistent. There is nothing truly to there's no way to set expectations of any kind week after week with them because you never know if they're actually going to come out the gates looking organized or confident. And I think their success is really behind the quality of the players, and they have that long roster. So I'm not really interested in the injury excuses either. But the fact that they're so inconsistent despite the price of that team, I think that's the sign of a manager who isn't really having much of an impact on the team.
Yeah.
Genuine
Their
question
success
for
is from financial cheating as well. So no one's got any sympathy for them. And I think if Arne Slot hadn't come in and done so well last season, he'd be on the hot seat right now. When you spend that kind of money, there's no excuses.
I don't know if he's not.
He's not. I don't think so.
He's got grace
No.
because I mean you can't go from
No.
winning the league to
I don't know.
He's got political capital in the bank.
We were just talking about Chelsea. They've done that.
I think Slot might.
Yeah, but they didn't win last year.
I
Don't
know, but
talk
they
to me
did
about
it
the
under
club. Like, who
Mourinho.
cares about the club
No,
World
I meant
Cup?
Jose
That's dumb.
Mourinho. I meant Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, I think Slot
Well,
might have come under pressure because last year they didn't make any signings. It was Klopp's team. They won the league. The
There
league's
you go.
at the minute. It was open last year. It's open this year. There's not, as much as like Arsenal top of the league last year, Liverpool away with it, but it was there for the taking. And then they sign, the number of players they've signed, the money they've spent. That's instantly going to be a massive weight on top. And I mean, I'd be astonished. Like, there's a lot of talk about Wirtz, and I just think he's too good a player to not come good. But we've seen it happen with other players in the league. They just don't fit the league. So if him and Isak don't come out firing at some point, and they are losing games still, then at what point is he not under pressure? I just want to point out that, like, the media here, I don't know what it's like in the States, but if this was happening at Man United, it'd be like front page news, back page news, every media outlet, like body analysis on Amorim and body language analysis, and like start bringing like psychologists in and like going, like he's being interviewed every 5 minutes. Like, that's not happening to Slot or Liverpool right now. But the pressure's going to come because people are going, Jamie Carragher did this like 3 weeks of analysis at United. He's not done any of it in Liverpool. So everyone's saying it's double standards and everything, but there's going to be a point where he does come under pressure. Doesn't mean he's the worst manager in the league by any stretch, but it's one of them. I'm sort of watching that shard and
I think he's under pressure.
Newcastle up as possibly, Eddie Howe as well. The last two results losing against, Brentford and West Ham is not what those fans expect. And that's going to be one to watch.
I think Slot's under pressure, but I don't think he's on the hot seat. I think there's a difference.
Yeah, I doubt it. And I do think there's something to be offered in defense of Slot and Howe as well, which is that we can't lose sight of the fact that these are large organizations. I think sometimes the way we describe the pressure a coach is under or what they're supposed to do, we still think it's just the locker room. But when you're talking about a large organization, I mean, imagine any workplace. There's a way that you can inspire success, and it's very rarely by just saying the head honcho is out if we don't get a string of good results over a couple weeks. There's a good amount of positivity that come out of an organization who know they have the pieces and stick by the people they have and wait for it to click. I know that can backfire, obviously, but if you know that the pieces are there, you do have to sit with that confidence and wait for it to work rather than blow it up and start from scratch and hope that confidence comes a couple of years from now.
But at the same time, Liverpool haven't exactly done that. They've already reverted off of Caracas to Robertson. They've already kind of benched Wirtz for the Premier League. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's pretty much an off the bench piece now. And they still haven't figured out really the striker rotation, in spite of the fact that they had a guy come in and hit the ground running and forwent him for the new shiny object.
But those parts
they're
are
definitely
the way
trying to
a
find
team's
Wirtz's
supposed to work.
place. Yeah.
It seems odd that they have to find a place for him. From what I saw, I don't watch a lot of German football, saw him in the Champions League, and you can just instantly see there's a player there. So to try and find a position for him seems a bit of a strange one. But, it happens with players, doesn't it? We've had Bruno Fernandes shoehorned into 4 or 5 different positions. Kobe Mainu can't get in our team at the minute because of the changes of the formations or the change of the style or bringing new signings in. I don't think it's necessarily down on one player, but I think the manager side of things, I agree what you're saying there about actually if they've got the pieces. This seems to be the noise from it internally at United is we're giving Amorim time and everything when all this nonsense was happening. And it's now starting to look like something might actually right, we're playing a certain way every week that's actually paying off. We've got consistency in the team. We've signed the right players for what we could in this summer window. So that patience is hopefully now paying off for what will be in a few years' time. But yeah, we know football's wild. People, you mentioned, and 8 games. I know they're older is unhinged brilliantly, but it's who knows with managers. They don't get given time these days, or very rarely. So doesn't matter what they've done as well, win the league or not.
Yeah.
Well, as sense we could keep talking and go through every manager, including ex-managers in the last 12 to 50 weeks. But we'll have to continue that thread in our next roundtable. But why don't we move forward a wee bit here? And this will be a quick kind of off the top of your head. What transfer needs to be made in or out in January for your club to have the single transfer to have its best chance of success, whatever that means, in the second half of the season? I'll start with Mike.
It's either a center midfielder or a striker. And since you're asking off the top of my head, I'd like Adam to ask Amorim specifically to stop blocking Kobe Mainu from coming from Fulham.
I will be tying myself to Kobe Mainu personally to stop him going anywhere.
I think he would be great with us. We need a progressive ball winner. I think he'd be a great fit in our system.
All right, Adam, what's your thought? Who do you want or not want?
We need another striking option. Realistic. I think we need another goal scorer, maybe a proven goal scorer who we just get on loan or something. Sesko needs a bit of time to settle in and get used to the league. And when he's not firing, we kind of lack. I mean, we might play a false 9 or something, but I think if we have someone who can just bag us 10 goals between then and the end of the season, that'd be a valuable January acquisition.
Maybe not last time, but at some point recently we spoke and we were talking about your goalie situation. How are you feeling at this point in the season? It seems like there's been a big improvement.
Relieved. It's changed everything. The whole team's different. The dynamic's different because they're not playing with a lunatic behind them who can't play in net. They're playing with an actual goalkeeper who can do the basics of catching a ball, stopping the ball going in the net, kicking the ball, like being in position. Everything that a goalie does on a Sunday morning down the park. That's what Onana couldn't do. He was the worst keeper I've ever seen. So to have someone, just anyone, who actually does the basics. But he looks confident. He looks a good young goalie. He looks like we've done what we did when we signed De Gea, where he was a bit raw, needs a bit toughening up, needs a bit of practice, getting used to the league again. But he looks the business so far. So not to get carried away, I think it's the long-term player that we've signed there, which is maybe why we didn't sign the likes of Donnarumma and Martinez, because we're going, okay, this is the guy. And he's going to be the guy for the next 10, 12 years. So it's given everyone hope. And you can see, I think that's been the catalyst for the change in the team, like more than anything, because the whole team looks different.
So just to be clear, you don't miss Onana.
Absolutely not.
What's his name?
Allowed to be spicier and a bit fresher with the language if you want, Adam.
Yeah.
What's his name?
He speaks highly of you too, Adam.
I don't know one United fan that's missing Onana. He was just garbage. I mean, that's as simple as that. He couldn't do the basics. I remember 3 games into when he signed, he was making mistakes that were just weird. And people were trying to defend him by going, "Oh, he's only made these number of mistakes in the stats." But it's not. It wasn't just the stats. It's things that don't count as a mistake in terms of a goalkeeping error. It's just a goalkeeping basic of he dived out of the way or over the ball or something. He didn't. He did literally throw the ball in the net a few times, and that goes down as a mistake. But the ones where it's just someone's had a shot and it's just basically gone in as if he wasn't there, they don't go down as a goalkeeping error. But the guy was just
Right.
You'd have been with a corner flag in that. It's just I'm
It's
getting
almost like
peaked
we need
about it.
some
We had
new
the
sweat.
same with
We
we had
need
the same with
a therapy session here about this.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
We
basically
could
what
we
it
could
is.
talk. We had one of those last year with Melier, the French goalkeeper that couldn't catch a cross, and it was awful. And it just destroys the confidence of the defense and everybody.
Yeah, it's one of the most, if not the most important position in the team in that way that it gives you the whole outfield confidence, reassurance to do their job.
All right. Well, let's see what you get in January, Christopher.
So this isn't a topic I'm too well versed on, but I do know that, well, I've heard conversations that we need to reinforce our striking capabilities, and that, you know, they're hoping to bring back Dominic Solanke, and hopefully that's something that can come through. For the most part, without the help of AI, it's not something I speak too smartly on. So I'm
That's all
hoping
right. This is don't know much about football, and I certainly couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe a striker. Paul, what about at Leeds?
Yeah, we needed a number 10 before the season, and we still need a number 10 badly. We've got Brendan Aronson, who's probably the worst. Don't get me started. But yeah, whether we'll find one or not, I don't know. It's I'd like to reincarnate Johnny Giles and bring him back, but that's not going to happen.
Paul, I'm sensing a very anti-American sentiment from you. First Jesse Marsh, now Brendan Aronson. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I was real optimistic at the time. We had that American core, and I was excited about it and getting behind it, but didn't work out too well.
Well, if
I
we
love
can,
America.
You've
but we
just
should
summed up
stick
the
to-
U.S. men's national team.
all right, Abby.
Yeah, we're actually pretty allergic to winter transfer business. As a club, we shy away from it. I think the club philosophy is generally summer is for building, winter is only for putting out fires and going over our existing contracts. So I think we're probably already in contract discussions with a couple of our veterans, and we like to get that done just so that there are fewer distractions and they know that they have a future with the club long past this point. And then the other thing is we don't really have fires to put out. The club can always be improved, but this isn't the time we really try to do it. A year ago, we signed Michael Coyote in the January transfer window, and he has been brilliant. And he was actually a bit of both. We had such an injury crisis at fullback that he was transferred in to put out that fire, but then he was also a piece of summer business. I think we loaned him in knowing fully well that he figured into our long-term plans. So when it comes to this January, the question is, who did we sign a year and a half ago who's suddenly going to become prominent? And if we do any business this January, it might be more along the lines of, does somebody need a loan just for some time? Or has the computer told us there is a catastrophe coming 2 years from now that we need to sign a player to deal with?
I love the way that you're addressing these questions, Abby. It feels like you're the very sort of business-like. We got this under control. We're kind of doing
He's
what we
very
want
pragmatic.
to do. Very pragmatic. We just, this is just a game. Like it's not even a game. It's just a business, and we're just making money. We know where we fit.
I think I inherit the viewpoint from the club management, and I think I do so because it's working. You'd see probably a different version of me if we just started the season with a collapse out the gates.
You see, capitalism is not dead in New York, whatever people say. We just
This
gotta
is like
watch-
the Tampa Bay Rays version of football. It's kind of how they operate, and it does work if you know your place. And
100%, particularly if
Yeah.
you're a club like Brentford, they should be pinching themselves where they are right now. And, where I'm used to seeing them.
This sort of glory days.
We know we're in the good times, so we're also celebrating.
Yeah.
Reap the harvest while you can. Sarah, what are your thoughts here?
Okay,
We'll move on.
Liverpool, they need defenders. That's it. They need defenders, and they have plenty of talent on the offensive end and strikers. They just need to remember how to play football, but they need defenders.
Would you get rid of anyone, or do we just need to get more in, spend more money?
No, I think they need to get more in. I think they probably overspent on. I didn't think they needed both Ekitike and Isak. That felt like an embarrassment of riches, and also like, where are you going to play everybody? So I was stoked when I thought that Gahey was actually going to happen, because that's what they needed, and now we're seeing that that's really what they needed. So what do you think, Ian?
I think I've really been persuaded by what you've been saying this for a while. I think even before the summer, when we wrapped up. I think at the end of the last season, that was your take, and I was underappreciating how much we needed. I also didn't know how much change there would be in the club in terms of people going out. So yeah. I mean, yes, I agree, but you know a lot more than I do, so I generally agree with you.
How are you guys thinking about Salah and Van Dijk now? Like, as good as they've been for the club, they're not having the best season. They've got their massive contracts. Like, they're both getting older. Like, are you worried about any of that? Like, or do you think they're just having a bit of a bad time?
I think the biggest problem we have is VAR disallowing that goal on Sunday, but
no kidding. No kidding.
I'm kidding. We're not going to dig into that. I'll give my quick take. I think I'm more disappointed by Salah's drop off this season than Van Dijk. I think Van Dijk has just been having to work too hard to pick up the slack on the back, and Salah's just not bringing enough. I don't know if he's slowing down because he's tired, or he got his contract and he's not interested, or what, but it just feels like he should be doing more.
Father Time is undefeated.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to propose a diagnosis, which is that I think the problem started late last season. And every time I've watched Liverpool in the past year and a half, I've been thinking any season or any system can look good when the players just run their legs off for 90 minutes every week. And they managed about a year of that. And they looked very good last year while they did it. But the midfield was like a carriage. All four would track back at great speed. All four would run up and advance at great speed. Attacking was actually like they did the most taxing version of an attack I've watched in a team as of late. And here you see just the natural consequence of that. I mean, yeah, it makes sense that Van Dijk and Salah are the ones who perform the worst under these conditions and that the young players are looking a little better. But maybe the problem is just that like Slot's formations and Slot's tactics require too much of every player for any player to feel comfortable and really think about the game.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. I think that Slot's tactics are way less physically demanding than Klopp's were. I actually think what they're missing in my estimation, well, one, Konate's been terrible. And two, I think they're missing not Trent Alexander-Arnold's defending, but the questions that it left other sides with. Where's he going to pass? How is he going to influence the game with his skills? But what I really think they're missing the most, to your point, Abhi, is on the tracking back, is Luis Diaz and Diogo Jota, for that matter. They did so much work off the ball, and they were good defenders and kind of like sledgehammers in a way, and they don't have that. And so I think you're really seeing the lack of Trent's ability there, especially given his link-up play with Mo, and then the two missing pieces of Diaz and Jota. I think those are, at least on the offensive end, it's a big hole. And then, yeah, Paul, Father Time is undefeated. And it's, that sucks when somebody's legs go. I don't think he's there yet, but I think they're both kind of maybe trending that direction. I have a question for the group that I'm wondering as I'm looking at the table. Sunderland, are they for real? I mean, they're sitting in fourth, and they took a hell of a point this past weekend. Are they for real, or are they going to fade? What do we think?
So I've got a bit of a best interest in this. My dad's a Sunderland fan. He's from that part of the world.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm raised in Manchester, hence me being a United fan. Family from Old Trafford on my mum's side, so that's my excuse. But I've watched. They're going to do a Leicester, but there's something happening there. They've got good players. They're playing ferociously as a team. There's not players you're picking out and going, it's all because of one key striker or anything like that. And that matters massively. And this is a fairly young new manager, who's getting a tune out of them. And they've hit the ground running. I think if they just take it game by game, keep the side fit, they can keep going and not drop off. I think they're going to be safe.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But it's been phenomenal to see it.
And I think they're already playing with house money, right? They're not going to be feeling that pressure going into the Christmas period like Leeds are, and that weighs on teams. So, they can relax and they've got momentum, and it might look different after Christmas once they've played all those fixtures, but yeah, I don't see them in any trouble.
I think they're for real in the sense that you can obviously see the heart of the team and that the signings are working. But I think there'll be a bit of a natural drop off as, like you said, that winter fixture congestion. Once they play a few more away games, once they play a few more top 10 opponents, it's not like they'll drop off by much. But I think it's very analogous to Forest last year, where there was quality, but it was down to a few players.
I mean, I definitely think they are. If the question is, are they going down? No, they're not going down. But at the same time, that would be almost unprecedented. I think the only other club to ever be in the top four before after Halloween and then go down was Hull City. But at the same time,
Some trivia.
it's a fun fact. They only won one more game for the rest of the season, I'm pretty sure. And I
Brutal.
think that was in the early 2000s. But I do think this reminds me of Wolves, their first season up. It reminds me of Sheffield United, their first season up. It's a team that's obviously been galvanized. They're obviously in lockstep. Are they going to win the league? Probably not. Are they going to be in Europe? Probably not. But if you're looking at a solid mid-table finish for them, I think they would break your hand off for that. Now, granted, I'm rooting against them ultimately in the next match because Fulham's going to town and we need to restore some form. But simultaneously, again, the signings have worked. They haven't just brought in young players. They've brought in some really great signings. They've brought in, obviously, Granit Xhaka. They've brought in guys like Broby who have been very, very good off the jump. Yeah, they've made some smart deals.
Christopher, what do you think?
I largely just kind of agree with what everyone else says. I'm just watching and waiting, and I'll kind of form an opinion in real time. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I was surprised to see them come up. I don't know too much the details about them. They haven't been a team to date that has been on radar, so it's newish. And, it's giving me the learning experience as I continue to learn more about the other teams outside of Tottenham and the kind of teams that are immediately around us in the table.
That's awesome. I'm just looking ahead at the rest of the calendar year for Sunderland. Obviously, Fulham and Adam's dad aside, we hope for Mike's sake that goes well. There's some potentially tough matches: Bournemouth, Liverpool, City, Newcastle. That'll be a big match, and then Brighton, finishing the year with Brighton and Leeds against Sunderland. So it's an interesting mix of matches and potentially a bit more challenging than the last 11 weeks for Sunderland. So we'll have to see what happens there. As we wrap up here, I just want to go around the room again and ask everyone for your predictions. What are you excited about for the next 6 weeks or so, and where do you think you'll be come the end of the calendar year? So I'll go first to Mike.
This is going to age terribly because betting the odds literally tell you we're about to sack our coach and go down a very, very dark dimension. I'm going to play the optimist here because the table is so tight and it's early in the season. Even though I know we're a third of the way through, I'm going to call it early in the season. I'm going to say, actually, our coach, Marco Silva, re-signs his contract. And this is the part that's going to age terribly. Our owner is in town today to essentially tell him, sign the contract or you're out. It's one of those two. And I actually think we're going to get players back. We've been missing Anthony Robinson the entire year. So I think we're going to get him back. I think own goals will stop being our leading goal scorer, which is an actual fact. And
It's not a good statistic.
It is not a good statistic at all. But I think we're going to actually be right around probably somewhere between 12th and 14th. We're sitting at 15th right now. Brentford is 5 points ahead of us. I think, unfortunately for me, they're going to continue to do pretty well. But there are teams in and around. Newcastle's in an existential collapse. I was not impressed with Brighton or Crystal Palace at the weekend. Everton looked really good, but that was also, we looked terrible. So there are places we can pick up points, and I'm going to be the optimist here and say we pick up a couple. We have a new contract with the manager and go into January with some new signings ready to go.
All right. Adam, what's your prediction?
So I think if I'm being realistic, top 6, optimistic, top 4, it's got to be minimum top 8. I think I'm a bit worried about the African Cup Nations. If we lose Mbumo, Ahmad, Aswari at the same time, and the other two in the squad, those two down that right hand side going at the same time is going to be hard for us to fix. Yeah, I think we're starting to see things come together in a nice way in the team, how they're playing. The sort of reason for those different options is that I think looking at the Brighton game for me showed United to say we're 2 seasons off. We need another summer window of cleaning people out and getting better quality in, same we did this summer. Then we need the summer that you all had with when you brought Van Dijk in, when Arsenal maybe brought Rice in, and then they get that catalyst player that's like the missing piece of the jigsaw. So I think we're 2 seasons off realistically, properly going competition, fighting for the proper trophies. This season's about, we've got no other competition other than the FA Cup when that starts. Make the most of the league, get as high as we can. I think we can get top 4, but I am worried about things like the African Cup of Nations.
All right, thanks, Adam. I think we got most of that. You dropped off a wee bit. We'll come back to you if we need to capture any of that. Paul, what's your prediction?
My prediction is we'll be in a relegation dogfight come January. Can't see us. The only 2 games we could pick, I think realistically we could pick up points is Sunderland and Crystal Palace, and neither of those are a walk in the park. And to carry on doing the same thing you're doing and expect different results is madness. I think we need to make a change now. Farker needs to go. Adam Underwood, who's in charge of our transfer business, who had a terrible pre-season, both in terms of buying and selling. We need to make a change there. And hopefully the 49ers ownership will be thinking the same thing and not hang on too long.
They're not stupid people, so presumably they'll figure some things out. Christopher?
Yeah, I'm very optimistic for the rest of the season. I think we have a couple good matches in our favor coming up through the end of the year. I think it'll be very exciting to see our team continue to coalesce. I think we still have some coalescing to do, but I think we'll get there. Hopefully, we'll see. I have faith in our new coach and some of our players. Hopefully, a couple of our players come off the injured list and, get to throw them back in. Some of our better scorers, Madison, Detsky. But, in all honesty, I'd be happy, if we stay, in the top 4 and get to go back to Champions League next season with our results. And that's kind of, I don't see us getting to the top of the table realistically. I don't think Tottenham's going to take, the Premier League. But if we stay top 4 and get back into Champions League, I'll be really happy with that. I'll consider that a win.
Fantastic. Abhi, you said Brentford's lost their analytics team. I'm wondering if there's an opening for you. Maybe you could get in there and be part of their success. What do you think?
No, I think they probably analyze stuff I didn't even think to do. And for all we know, it's like a couple teams across Europe in little data centers. None of us really know what the model looks like, so I've started describing it as like an elder god. But I'm feeling pretty good about the next phase of the season. I think we'll look pretty much just like this over the next 10 weeks. We will be strong at home. We will punch a couple big teams in the mouth. We'll probably drop some easy points every now and then, but we'll keep improving, which we have been. The quality of play has been there all season and has been improving. I think in terms of the table, what'll happen in winter is what always happens. The teams that have afforded to build a second roster on their bench will suddenly look better as the fixtures get closer together and they lose some players to AFCON and to injury. And you realize why they're the big teams. Unfortunately, this is the part of the season where that type of week gets separated from the chaff. But for our club, I think we have a much stronger bench than we used to. We have a lot more depth, and I think we'll give them a bigger fight of it maybe than traditional L's.
Great. Okay, Sarah, do you want to take us out with your take on Liverpool for the next leg of the season, and then we'll wrap up?
Sure. So my hope is that they figure it out. That, the players who have been out of form regain form in some way, shape, or form. We'll just continue saying that word. But also that I think they need some consistency in their selection, while at the same time they also Slot needs to figure out the balance to make sure that they don't run out of gas across multiple competitions. So those are my hopes. I don't know. Again, I don't know that they'll age well, to use Mike's phrase, but we'll see. I hope they end up top 4, and I hope they go far in the Champions League. That's the only competition, the Galatasaray match aside, they've actually looked all right. So we'll see. It's a long season, and they have the talent. They just need to figure out everybody needs to play to their potential and figure out how to utilize that talent and get the most out of everyone, and make sure that the players are in a position to be successful. So we'll see. Yeah. That's why Slot gets paid the big bucks.
Absolutely. And I will just add my own quick comment, which is the matches where I was the most excited before the match started were the match against Villa and Real Madrid. And it was because the lineup looked more like last season's than this season's.
Yeah.
I think Villa, it was 9 out of 11 players were starting 11 last season. And then Real Madrid was 8 out of 11 or something. And I think smarter subbing and bringing in players earlier to get that exposure and to try things out, assuming that you're up 1-0, maybe you can afford to bring in somebody who just hasn't been delivering, but give them a chance to shine. So that would be my hope going into the rest of the season, and the results show at least those players can deliver if you put them in. So easier said than done. Anyway, thank you all for joining. This has been fun. It's our sort of first sort of bumper crop of guests all at once. We lost Karlo along the way, but we'll keep working on the tech. Until then, thanks everyone for listening. We look forward to talking more in a few weeks. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
That's a wrap for this episode of Don't Know Much About Football, the podcast for all fans, new and seasoned, who want to grow the sport and learn together.
If you like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen, and support us on Patreon. Your feedback and support grow our community.
If you're a part of a club, league, or fan community and want to be featured, reach out via our social media or our website at don'tknowmuchaboutfootball.com.
Thanks for joining our journey. Tune in next week for more passionate football stories.
Until then, keep the football spirit alive.